My dad was furious when he found out my younger brother was gay, and while he couldn't kick him out or disown him, he made his life as miserable as possible while he was under his roof. Dad recently passed away, and my younger brother wants to destroy Dad in the eulogy, so I think I need to ban him from the funeral. Posted by you/politicsitahelp. I will try to keep it short, but first of all, some context. I have 3 younger siblings, 2 brothers, Andrew and Ben, and 1 sister, Claire. When we were younger, my father discovered Ben was homosexual. He was enraged and probably would have disowned Ben on the spot if it weren't for the intervention of our mother. Dad and Ben never reconciled, and Dad did everything in his power to make Ben as uncomfortable as possible. We siblings stayed close, but eventually Ben could not take the constant abuse anymore and moved out. Claire followed, but for career reasons. Andrew and I stayed in our hometown. Dad died of COVID complications a few days ago. As the eldest son of the family, it became my responsibility to prepare the funeral. He was a prominent member of the local community, so attendance will be high. Now we come to the main issue. Ben wanted to give a eulogy and sent me a draft of his speech. Unsurprisingly, the contents were not flattering, and I rejected him on the spot. He got really angry and told me that this was his best chance to expose Dad's hypocrisy, especially since he had the image of a good family man. He wanted everyone to know how much abuse he suffered at the hands of our father. Now, I love Ben unconditionally. He is my younger brother, and there are not a lot of things I wouldn't do for him. However, this is one of them. It is simply not appropriate to speak ill of the dead at their own funeral, which is supposed to be a celebration of their life. For all his ugly, hideous flaws, Dad was a complicated person, and focusing the entire funeral on his relationship with one person is too much. There is also the fact that letting him give such a eulogy would probably cause a massive fallout in the community. Ben will not have to deal with the consequences because he lives in another state, but Andrew and I will be left picking up the pieces. Claire is on Ben's side for this one, while Andrew is on mine. I want to stress that I am not trying to cover for my father or what he did to Ben. But there is a time and place for such things, and a funeral is not it. Ben eventually backed down, but his husband has tipped me off that Ben is still preparing to cause trouble. I really do not want to do this, but it seems to me that uninviting my brother from the funeral is the only choice. Would I be the jerk if I did so? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Firstly, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm going against the grain here, you're the jerk. Denying Ben closure to keep up appearances in the community is cruel. You and others experienced your father in a very different way than he did. Do I think he should read a eulogy? No. But he shouldn't be uninvited. He may cause a scene, he might not. I guarantee he's going to show up with or without your permission. He'll be responsible for how he behaves. Commenter 2. I grew up very similarly to Ben and left the state as fast as I could. You may not like your brother's intentions, but funerals are not for the dead. Funerals are for the living, to accept and let go. You are taking that from your brother. It's really not your place. Just because you are older does not give you authority. That might be something you learned from Dad, and you need to unlearn that crap, because I think it is about to blow up in your face. Granted, he may be a mess, but he's got some good reasons for being pissed. If he does this, he will not walk away from it looking good, but it is his look, not for you to decide. It might be more productive to talk to your brother about what he hopes to gain. You might point out the damage to others that his words would cause. He is mad at your dad. I assume he is not mad at the whole family or town. When people die, history arrives. Everything your dad ever did to him is bubbling up, rushing into his psyche. It's a lot to process. I am sure the same is happening for you right now. I have already decided that I will not attend my father's funeral, but that is my choice. But I have to tell you, if either of my brothers attempted to make that choice for me or control my mouth, it would just get louder, and they know it. Like, hire a plane carrying a banner over the funeral with some tidbit of anger kind of loud. Like hire male strippers for the funeral kind of loud. Like. You get the point. I am not going to do those things. I am just trying to make a point. You might make things a whole lot worse. Talk him off the ledge. Don't push him off the ledge. Op adds an edit to his post. For those asking why I would even want to honor such a horrible man in the first place, it's complicated. Dad was a great father until the incident, which happened when I was in college. It's not easy being torn between two people you love, and even though I can say I did not hesitate to choose Ben, Dad was still the person I grew up admiring and loving. I'm still sorting my own feelings out and trying to reconcile the loving father who raised me and my siblings with the man who threw away everything for his petty prejudices. For those asking about the fallout, it has to do with the town's local politics. That's all I'm willing to say. Going to do a last few clarifications here because people are making a lot of assumptions. No. We did not cover up the abuse. All 4 of us siblings have been clear to our friends and family about why we moved out of the family house, and my mother has also made it clear why she and my late father were estranged, even if we did not go out of our way to air the family's dirty laundry. Ben has also made it clear that he does not resent any of us besides our father, and us falling out would just be what our dad would have wanted. I might have understated a bit when I referred to the eulogy draft as unflattering. It was vulgar, vile, and definitely not appropriate for a funeral. Even if I had agreed with Ben's plan, there was no chance I would have approved the draft. The eulogy would have reflected badly on him, not on my father. I am not going to ask Ben to keep the abuse a secret. He is free to tell anyone he likes, on Facebook, in the local obituary, etc. I just think that the funeral is not the appropriate time, and especially not through a eulogy. Update 1 week later. Hello, it has been one of the longest weeks of my life, but the funeral has finally concluded. Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. Some people sent me messages asking for an update, so here you go. First of all, it would have been a mistake to rescind the invite to my brother, and thank you to the people who pointed out that I had no way of keeping him out of the church without asking security to throw him out. That would probably have been almost as bad, if not worse, than the eulogy. I had to deal with a lot of people during the funeral preparations, many of them unpleasant but influential, and I really was not in the right state of mind to make decisions. It was also wrong of me to try to deny Ben closure, though I do have to say that the comments accusing me of being complicit in or not having done enough to stop my brother's abuse were out of line. A singular post where I am actively trying to limit personal information is not a fair basis from which to extrapolate our family relationships, and it seems to me that many of the commenters have their own emotional baggage that they are trying to project onto my relationships. I met up with my brother and his husband a few days after he gave the eulogy. Thank you to those who suggested I ask about his motivations and provided alternate perspectives. We had a surprisingly brief talk. In short, Ben did not want us, his immediate family, to lionize our father. We agreed that Ben would come, but we would leave the eulogy to Dad's friends and hold a private wake for his immediate family only. The funeral was mostly uneventful. A few questions were asked by the priest and my father's friends about why none of his children or his wife were giving eulogies, but I just explained that we were leaving it for the wake. At the wake, we all got to say what we wanted to say. I will leave it at that. Thanks to whoever suggested the after-funeral party. We went to our childhood home and had a great time. Due to COVID, we really hadn't had the chance to meet up much, and this was the first time we'd had in a long while to catch up. After the funeral, we published an obituary with sections from each part of the family. It was tacitly worded, and choosing the right words was a pain, but Ben had fun with his section. All in all, I think the matter was settled quite nicely. Thank you again to everyone who gave advice and everyone who provided their kind words. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Congratulations on your willingness and ability to compromise, and your deft diplomatic skills. Let me add, not the jerk, of course. Ops response. Thank you, but most of the praise should go to my brother's husband. I cannot thank that man enough for everything he's done. I figured that by the time we met, my brother was already ready to drop the issue, and I'm glad we found a solution where everyone could be satisfied. Commenter 2. It's great that you were able to pull together as a family to deal with the situation. Ops response. It's great, isn't it? I'm really lucky to be surrounded by wonderful people. Take the issue of my father's inheritance, for example. I have heard horror stories of families torn apart by fighting over scraps, and even though I love my siblings, money can change people, and I really was not looking forward to executing the will. What's more, my father left the majority of his assets in generation-skipping trusts, so I thought that Ben would be upset for sure. We settled it on the day of the funeral. God, I'm so lucky. Commenter 3. None of the family gave eulogies is so goddamn devastating, and it's very, very obvious. One of the kids gave a negative eulogy makes Ben the bad guy and Dad the victim. None of the chief mourners spoke, but other friends did. This is a case where silence is louder than a scream, and people definitely noticed.